Praise Yah, Shabbat Shalom. We live. All right, praise Yah, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Welcome. My name is Yadon Yasharal. I'm with my brother Kased Yasharal. Shabbat Shalom, Mark. How you doing?
Hey, Shabbat Shalom. I'm doing well. Praise God. There's
Hallelujah.
a lot going on in the world.
Everywhere. Anything specific in your region?
Well, it's pretty much the same story with the Dutch government. Well, to be honest, the Dutch government they're having kind of an issue with the government is basically falling apart, meaning that
Hmm.
and this happens. It sounds worse than it is, but basically the politicians can't agree on a course of action, so they have to reconvene at a later date to kind of reassemble a parliament or some sort. It's a bit different than the states. So like there's not just one person at the top. So I guess they got to reconfigure somehow. But basically they're still supporting Ukraine, and I'm unsure about what exactly they're going to do with the Israel Iran situation.
Right.
I have to check up on that. But yeah, that's where they're at now.
Wow. Okay. I don't know what's going on, but for whatever reason, we not streaming on YouTube. Uh, YouTube got us cut off. I don't know what happened from last week to this week. They didn't like the Idol Shepherd class. So if you are watching this, again, you can always access our classes and our material on our website, Israelitesgathering.com. You can also access us at the application, whether you have Apple, you can get on the iOS, it's called Israelites Gathering, or if you have Android, you can get on the Play Store for free, Israelites Gathering, same thing. So definitely check us out. Um, I don't recall getting any warning or any reason, but either way, they cut us off. So we're still on Rumble. You can hit us on Rumble. And as these weeks go on, these classes are getting more detailed on what's going on. So they're obviously not happy. But either way, we're gonna keep pushing forward. So the title of our class today is Eviction of the Nations and Repossession of the Promised Land. So we see what's going on. I mean, it's some Black Ops video game like setting over there in Israel. Gaza been tore up, but now you're seeing Jerusalem and Tel Aviv and all these areas starting to get hit. So people want to know what's going on, and you have a lot of Gentiles and people that don't know who they are siding with the state of Israel, thinking that that's the biblical Israel. And they're saying things like, God blesses those who bless Israel. Not okay. Well, you got to understand who Israel is. That's the state of Israel. That's not the same thing as biblical Israel. But everything that is happening over there and the timing and all the people that are involved is literally outlined in prophecy, both in the Old Testament and the New Testament. So we're going to get into that today. Before we start with the class, we're going to do a little current event. And I just want to talk a little bit about who is supporting Israel and who is supporting Iran. All right. So this is just so we know what's going on. Again, the nations are taking their sides. All right. So we know already United States has reiterated its support for the state of Israel. So we know that. Not only are they giving them money, they're giving them weapons. How else do you think they got that Iron Drone or whatever, Iron Dome? United States. All right. Then you also have Germany, Ashkenaz. They supporting Israel's right to defend itself, and they're also acknowledging their concerns about Iran's nuclear program. So that big word on right to defend yourself, we think everybody got a right to defend yourself, but you ain't defending yourself when You punch somebody and they try to hit you back. That's a fight. That's not a defending yourself. All right. United Kingdom supports Israel's right to self-defense. Okay. All right. France reaffirm Israel's right to self-defense. The Czech Republic views the Israeli strikes as a reasonable reaction given Iran's actions, including support for groups like Hamas and Hezbollah. What actions? You talking about because they trying to make sure that they can have a right to defend themselves? So look at these countries. These are where all the Jewish people are from. They'll tell you they're from these places. Germany, I'm from UK, I'm from France, I'm from the Czech Republic. And Argentina, President Javier Milei has expressed strong support for Israel's military actions, condemning Iran's counterattack. So that's what's going on with the people that are supporting Israel. So now let's see who is, I guess, going against Israel. All right. So these are the people that are condemning Israel's action or calling for de-escalation. So China has condemned Israel for violating Iran's sovereignty and escalating tensions. Russia has condemned the attacks on Iran and warned against actions that could lead to regime change, suggesting it could help mediate the conflict. Iran's allies, the Axis of Resistance, groups like Hezbollah, which is Lebanon, the Houthis, which is Yemen, and other Iranian-backed groups have condemned Israel's strikes and expressed solidarity with Iran. Iraq has condemned the state of Israel's military aggression and violation of international law. Pakistan has condemned Israeli attacks as unjustified and a threat to regional stability. Now, Pakistan is a country with nuclear weapons. Russia has the most nuclear weapons. China is just a little bit behind the United States with nuclear weapons. So these are all nuclear weapon people. All right. Many Arab nations publicly have criticized the state of Israel's attacks, including Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates, UAE. Afghanistan, the Taliban government has condemned the attacks as violation of international law and fueling of regional insecurity. Indonesia has strongly condemned Israel's attacks and called for restraint. Malaysia has condemned Israel's attacks and urged other nations to apply pressure to halt further aggression. And here's another important one. Turkey has condemned the Israeli attacks as violation of international law and reckless provocation. You also have various South American nations like Bolivia, Brazil, and Cuba, and these are these BRICS nations, have denounced the attacks and urged return to peace and adherence to international law. So these are all the people that are speaking out against the state of Israel. So that leads us to the next thing. So these are, okay, so maybe these nations, they make money together, or they Islamic together, or whatever. Maybe they just cool, right? So let's see what United Nations has to say. All right, so here we are. United Nations. The UN experts condemn Israeli attack on Iran and urge end to hostility. So this is the United Nations. This is Geneva, where the peace conferences are. So even the United Nations, it says the UN experts today unequivocally condemned. So this is like undeniably, overwhelmingly condemned recent Israeli military attacks against Iran, which have targeted nuclear facilities, energy and military infrastructure, as well as residential and media buildings across multiple locations. So you can't say that this is just a group of families or certain people of a region that's speaking on this. Now, you cut on the American news and it's like, the state of Israel trying to protect themselves. You're not protecting yourselves when you attacking somebody because they're not doing what you say they need to do. And the only reason they're able to do that is because the United States is backing them. All right. So let's see what else the United Nations has a problem with in regarding Israel. So Israel kills 56 Palestinians in Gaza, most of them desperately seeking aid. So the United Nations is calling out, not only are they in this bogus war against Iran, they still in the war against the people of the land, the Palestinians. And they're literally killing these Palestinians in this Hunger Games style war where these people are seeking aid for hungry families at distribution points, and they sniping these people off, women, children, starving people. United Nations, again, they strongly condemning. So you just gonna say don't do it. You ain't gonna do nothing. Or are they? That leads us to where we are now. So let's go ahead and get into the class. Again, the title of the Shabbat study today is The Eviction of the Nations and Repossession of the Promised Land. If you've seen anything, which, you got to go to social media to see this stuff, because the news is really not trying to show you the extent of damage. Their stock exchange building blown up. Tel Aviv is blown up. They just hit the Ministry of Defense. So there's a lot of damage going on over there. And like we talked about last week, you got this new white flight coming out of the state of Israel via Cyprus, going by boats. The state of Israel has locked the nation down, saying, you can't leave. You can't leave if you're an Israeli. You need to stay and get ready for this bogus war, right? So they're stuck there. But of course, the wealthy, they dipping. They leaving, they getting up out of there. So the land is being leveled, and the people that are not from that region are being evicted. Now, the Palestinian people, the melanin people that are there, they used to this. They like, man, you've been blowing up our buildings. We've been fighting for our lives. So all of this is going on, and what's happening is all these nations, these Gentiles, Gentile just means nations. All these nations have been in our land, possessing our land for hundreds of years, hundreds and hundreds of years. When we got evicted, when Yah told us that we were going to get kicked out because we didn't do the things that Yah commanded of us. And now the land is being repossessed, and the way for us to enter back into the land is coming. So let's open up, and let's first establish that we received our judgment. Let's open up in Bereshit, Genesis chapter 15. All right, so we're going to share the scripts. Give me a second to pull it up. We're going to go to Bereshit, Genesis chapter 15. All right, let me do a new share. All right, Genesis chapter 15. And we're going to start that at verse 12. And Shabbat Shalom to my sister from another mister. Sis Evie, good to see you. Shabbat Shalom, sis Sherry Randolph. Good to see you. As always, Shabbat Shalom to brother Yafi. Yahawada, good to see you. Dre Day, always right on time. Our deliverance is super, super close. I mean, it's so near. And this is why we're doing these type of classes, to calm our nation down. This about us, but this ain't for us. This ain't targeted us right now. And Shabbat Shalom, brother Aaron Hicks. Good to see you, family. And what we have to understand is they're fighting to hold on to what doesn't belong to them, and it's being stripped from them. All we have to do is conduct ourselves according to what the scripts say we would be conducting ourselves in this time, and we're going to inherit. We're going to get all this stuff. They doing all the dirty work. All right, so let's open up in Bereshit. So again, we are at this time where, just like in 2019, 2020, after this 400 years, which we're about to talk now, all the distraction in our house homes, All the servants of the Most High were under attack. All the children of Yasharah were under attack because it's trying to get us to quit. Them evil spirits are trying to give us to give up because it's right here at the door. All we have to do is follow what the word says we're going to do, and it's going to be given to us. So it's trying to strip us away from who we are, get us to focus on all this worldly stuff, and just bow down when this is right here for us. And Shabbat Shalom, Sis Shirley Martinez, good to see you. All right, so we're going to open up in Genesis chapter 15. And before we do that, we got a few scripts we're going to read for some motivation. Yeshayah 42 and verse 9. Behold, the former things have come to pass, and the new things do I declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them, and praise Yah. Brother, we're going to get into some of these new things that we are experiencing and we're about to enter. So as these things unfold in front of our eyes, we are not surprised. Our faith will increase. Faith is like a muscle. But if you're seeing it, then what good is that? That's not faith. You're experiencing it. But we're having faith in it before it happens. So when it happens, that muscle's even stronger. All right. We have Yoel chapter 1 and verse 15. Alas, for the day of Yahweh is at hand, and as destruction from the Almighty shall it come, and nobody can stop that. Hallelujah. And the last one, Lamentations chapter 4 and verse 22. The punishment of your iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion. He will no more carry you away into captivity. He will visit your iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover your sins. And we're going to, brothers like you, it's like you went into my outline and you pulled out the preview, the introduction to the scriptures we about to go into without even touching the scriptures we about to touch. You pretty much gave the introduction. So hallelujah, the Spirit is working. So let's open up in Bereshit, Genesis chapter 15. We're going to start this at verse 12, and we're going to validate some of these scriptures that we just read about our judgment has passed. Let's start at verse 12, and let's go through verse 14.
Genesis chapter 15 and verse 12. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him.
All right. So when the sun is going down, so to us Hebrews with the most general Hebrew understanding, what does the sun going down represent in your relation to the daytime, the calendar day? Is that the beginning of the day, the middle of the day, the end of the day? According to Genesis chapter 1. As the sun going down, that means you're preparing to go into the next day, the next calendar day, not the daytime portion, but the next calendar day. So as this next calendar day is coming, a horror and great darkness fell upon him. So that is what we have experienced as the children of Israel. As we are ending this 6th day and preparing to go into the Shabbat, the sabbatical kingdom, peace, where we finally have peace. Verse 13.
And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that your seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years.
All right, so know of a surety. So 100%, 1000%, like your boy DDG said, 1000% sure that this is going to happen. Your seed, Abraham's seed. Now, Abraham is the father of many nations, but not all nations. He's father of a branch of the Hebrew nations, not all of them, but a branch. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So his seed is going to be a stranger in a land that's not theirs. All right. So the land that we went to, America, is not ours. The other Gentile nations where we were scattered to are not ours. Our nation is being possessed by Gentiles, by other nations right now. So this is a 100% positive surety that the children of Israel are going into a stranger's land. And it says that we shall be afflicted for 400 years. Now, that is a curse. That is a judgment. And what is that the judgment for? Well, before this happened, we have to understand that we were given the blessings and the curses when we took the covenant. Deuteronomy 28. Listen, if you do this, you're going to get these blessings. If you don't, you're going to get these curses. So again, prophecy is line for line, precept for precept. Here a little, there a little. Here a little, there a little. So we were told, you don't keep the commandments, this was going to happen. We didn't keep the commandments. We got a 400-year judgment. Fast forward, 1619, we got to this land. 2019 was the end of the 400 years. And at the end of that 400 years, we know what came in. The world changed forevermore since that time. All right, verse 14.
And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward they shall come out with great substance.
All right, so we had our judgment. So now our judgment is over. 1619 to 2019, that's 400 years. Not the one we had in Egypt when we were in Goshen, which is literally on the other side of the Nile River, which is literally the inheritance of the children of Israel. That's not the 400-year captivity, because we were be strangers in a land that's not ours. That's our land. So at the end of the day, this 400 years happened here in America, 1619 to 2019. And how coincidental, our then president, which is our now president, Donald Trump, he did the House Resolution 1242, which literally said, commemorated the 400 years of our time here in the United States. So we had our judgment, okay? But just like any other judgment, when you get a sentence and you get, say, 10 years, when that 10 years is up, you don't just walk out, hey, I'm out. It ended 1 minute ago and you just walk out. No, it's a procedure. And during that procedure, while they're preparing you to leave and putting you in a halfway house and doing all different things, if you mess up during that procedure, you going back to jail. Or worse, you could lose your life. So at the end of the day, that's where we are at right now. We did our time. We are preparing to be released back into our land. But that will not happen out of order. Verse 14, and that nation whom you shall serve will I judge. That is what's happening now. The nation whom we served as bondmen, as slaves, is being judged. And when that judgment is finished, then we will come out with great substance. So there's the outline right there. Now let's go to 2 Kings chapter 17. Let's see how we got to where we're at. Dibri Melakim, chapter 17, 2 Kings, chapter 17, and we're going to look at how we got to where we got. All right, because the people in the land, everybody talking about, God blesses those who blesses Israel. That's not us. We've been gone. That's not even our brothers from the northern region. They've been gone. Let's start this at verse 6.
2 Kings chapter 17 and verse 6. In the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Yasharal away into Assyria and placed them in Halah and Habor by the river of Gozan and in the cities of the Medes.
All right, so again, in the 9th year, the king of Assyria, which is literally the Syrians, they took northern Israel and carried them into Syria and the places around Syria, which is like Halah and Habor by the river of Gozan, which is like towards the Euphrates, and in the cities of the Medes. The Medes is Mayday. Mayday in the Bible. Mayday in the Bible, that's northwestern Iran. So this is where the same places the state of Israel is bombing. These are some of the places where our own people were displaced to and are still there to this day. Tamshi?
Verse 7. For so it was that the children of Israel had sinned against Yahweh their Elohim, which had brought them up out of the land of Mizraim, from under the hand of Pharaoh, king of Mizraim, and feared other gods. Verse 8. And walked in the statutes of the heathen, whom Yahweh cast out from before the children of Israel, and of the kings of Israel which they had made.
And that's the same thing we doing here in this captivity. We trying to walk according to the statutes of the heathen. The heathen say it's okay for you to be a homosexual. So we'd say, well, it's the law of the land, right? The heathen say it's okay to just divorce your wives and you have 15 baby mamas. You ain't got to take care of them. Just pay child support. The heathen got all kind of laws. You can eat pork. You can have it your way. You know, dress like a woman, dress like a man, do what you want. All the laws. And we followed them. And if you go in the book of Maccabees, when the Greeks started before the Romans, we took to get license from the heathen so that we couldn't be punished by our own people for going according to their ways. So northern Israel was way off. The northern tribes, way off. And we're going to see what happens to Judah afterwards. Tamshi?
Verse 9. And the children of Israel did secretly those things that were not right against Yahweh their Elohim. And they built them high places in all their cities, from the tower of the watchman to the fenced city.
So those high places are the same thing you're going to see in every corner in the hood. What we call them poorhouses. Them pagan churches that are not trying to teach the word of Yah, that are trying to fleece the flock, that are worshiping another entity. It's been here. This is just a different place. Verse 10.
And they set them up images and groves in every high hill and under every green tree.
So that's the evergreen tree. And that's them Asherah poles and those totem poles and all that stuff. The same thing in that movie Sinners, when he went back and he saw his the grave of his, of an individual. I ain't gonna tell if you haven't seen the movie. Went and saw the grave of an individual, and you see that totem pole, that Asherah pole sitting right there, thinking that that's closer to our culture, that African culture. Yeah, it's closer to the continent of Africa, but that's not our culture. These are the things that Yah spoke against. You ain't even supposed to have that near your house. This is literally by the house. Verse 11.
And there they burnt incense in all the high places, as did the heathen whom Yahweh carried away before them, and wrought wicked things to provoke Yahweh to anger. For they served idols whereof Yahweh had said unto them, You shall not do this thing. Yet Yahweh testified against Yasharal and against Yahweh by all the prophets and by all the seers, saying, Turn you from your evil ways and keep my commandments and my statutes according to all the law which I commanded your fathers, and which I sent to you by my servants the prophets. Notwithstanding, they would not hear, but hardened their necks, like to the neck of their fathers that did not believe in Yahweh their Elohim.
Same thing as it is to this day, that we are stiff-necked people. And Shabbat Shalom, Elder Zahar, good to see you, family. And Shabbat Shalom, Sis Ariel Smith, good to see you as well. So we refuse to learn from the fall of our ancestors because we're empowered by these heathen nations to do what they do, but we're not getting the benefit that they get. And as soon as we do start to get the benefit that they get, the wickedness we had to do to get those type of levels of benefits, they gonna chew you out and spit you out like they do all our, like Bill Cosby and all that wickedness that was going on. They allowing them to do that. Look at P. Diddy and all these people. This is what happens. Go ahead.
Verse 15. And they rejected his statutes and his covenant that he made with their fathers, and his testimonies which he testified against them. And they followed vanity and became vain, and went after the heathen that were round about them, concerning whom Yahweh had charged them, that they should not do like them. And they left all the commandments of Yahweh their Elohim and made them molten images, even 2 calves, and made a grove, and worshipped all the host of heaven and served Baal.
That's who you are serving when you go to Sunday church. That is what it's all built around, the sun god. They one of their biggest times was yesterday, the summer solstice, which is the longest day of the year. The sun was out in the highest point, which means it's covering the most of the earth for the longest period of time. Why is this the summer solstice such a big day? Because the earth is flat. And the higher you are up, it's just like if you hold your cell phone on a piece of paper on a table, if you hold it real close, it's going to light up a small piece of the paper. You hold it up real high, it's going to light up a bigger amount of the paper. This is the reason why your light ain't in the middle of your room. It's on the ceiling so it can cover more area. So that's what the solstice is. You got the longest at the highest point, and it's lighting up the earth for the longest period of time. They're sun worshipers. They're worshiping the return of the S-U-N, not the return of the S-O-N, who we're waiting on, Hamashiach. So they're turning and they're worshiping these pagan gods and provoking Yah to anger. So you think he just how long do you think a husband gonna let a wife come in here and continue to go against the rule of his home? Eventually he's gonna say, listen, I'm not dealing with it. Tom Sheep.
Verse 17. And they caused their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire, and used divination and enchantments, and sold themselves to do evil in the sight of Yahweh, to provoke him to anger. Therefore Yahweh was very angry with Yasharal, and removed them out of his sight. There was none left but the tribe of Yahweh only.
All right, so again, the Father is an example of mercy. He couldn't let Israel continue to do that to their own destruction till they killed themselves. So now Israel is Yah is removing himself and removing Israel out of his sight, where he cannot see the foolishness that they're doing in order to not have to completely cut off the northern tribes forever. So this is a mercy that he's given. He's showing an example of mercy that, hey, you might have to say, I got to move you out the way right now. I can't continue to watch you doing what you're doing because I'm going to have to judge this. I'm going to have to handle this. But he did not abandon the northern tribes forever. That's mercy. That's love. That's the measure that each husband is going to be held to, because that's the example of the covenant of the Most High. So he expelled the northern tribes, and there's none left but Judah only, the kingdom of Judah. Go ahead.
Verse 19. Also Judah kept not the commandments of Yahweh their Elohim, but walked in the statutes of Israel which they made. And Yahweh rejected all the seed of Israel, and afflicted them, and delivered them into the hand of spoilers, until he had cast them out of his sight. For he rent Israel from the house of David, and they made Jeroboam the son of Nebat king. And Jeroboam drave Israel from following Yahweh, and made them sin a great sin.
All right, so this is what happened. All after the fall of Solomon, now we're no longer the united kingdom of Yasharal. We are separate. We are now Israel, and we are Judah, the kingdom of Judah. So we are separate, and now the northern tribes is gone altogether. Then he ended up rejecting the whole seed of Israel because we doing the same foolishness, falling after him. Go ahead.
Verse 22. For the children of Israel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam, which he did, they departed not from them, until Yahweh removed Israel out of his sight, as he has said by all his servants the prophets. So was Israel carried away out of their own land to Assyria unto this day.
So Assyria, into Syria, into Persia, Iran, Iraq, Arabia, all those areas, we were dispersed That's where the northern tribes went. And see who they brought into our land.
Verse 24. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon and from Cutha and from Ava and from Hamath and from Sepharvaim
And
and
there you
placed them in
go.
the city.
You've heard that term before, right? Sephardic. Sepharvaim is not even from the same branch as Abraham. These are Hebrews as far as they're Semites, but this is not from the same branch. And he's taking people that are not from the same branch and placing them in our cities. Go ahead.
And placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. And they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof.
So this is how northern Israel became Samaria and became, instead of being Ephraim, it's now become Samaria. And it's where you're having all these foreigners now in the land. Now, they're poor. You still got some poor Israelites there because there's always going to be a remnant. But at the end of the day, we as a nation have been expelled. Go ahead.
Verse 25. And so it was at the beginning of their dwelling there that they feared not Yahweh. Therefore Yahweh sent lions among them, which slew some of them. Wherefore they spake to the king of Assyria, saying, the nations which you have removed and placed in the cities of Samaria know not the manner of Elohim of the land. Therefore he has sent lions among them, and behold, they slay them, because they know not the manner of the Elohim of the land.
How can these Gentiles figure that out? Why could the Goyim and the nations figure this out and be able to say all these things and have enough sense to say, well, we need to learn the laws of the land. We need to learn the law of the God of the land. Because we know, yeah, we worship whatever pagan God we worship, but we know this land belongs to the God of Israel. So we need to learn what we need to do. Why we don't have enough common sense to understand that applies to us in our body, because our body is the land. We have to know the manner of this body, the children of Israel. We have to keep the commandments or we get these curses, the ones that we're living and the ones that we're ending right now. Verse 27.
Then the king of Assyria commanded, saying, carry there one of the priests whom you brought from there, and let them go and dwell there, and let them teach them the manner of Elohim of the land.
All right.
Then one of the priests.
So the king of Assyria said, go ahead and get some of the northern Israelites, priests, right? And let's have them teach the people customs of the land. So now you have these people that are foreigners in our land, and they learning some of our stuff, but they doing just enough not to get ate up by lions. They still gonna worship whatever Asherah pole or God that comes in their mind. They gonna worship it, but they gonna try to follow the laws of the land. Say, well, you got to do this, you got to do that, and they had teaching them. But look who's teaching them. These are the priests of the northern tribes. The northern tribes was so wicked, the Levites left. It said, man, y'all people, you letting a person just be a priest because you owe them money so they can collect tithes. They're not going to keep our law. They're not going to do what we do and make our sacrifices. So these are the type of people that already were priests that weren't of our best stock, that are now teaching foreigners the law of our land.
Verse 28. Then one of the priests whom they had carried away from Samaria came and dwelt in Bethel, and taught them how they should fear Yahweh. Howbeit every nation made Elohim of their own, and put them in the houses of the high places which the Samaritans had made, every nation in their cities wherein they dwelt.
All
And the
right,
men
so
of Babylon.
they kept their own gods. All right, let's go to Jeremiah chapter 25. So it talks about us, the northern tribes being expelled as well. So we're going to cover that real quick just to show you how we were removed out of the land. All right, and let's go to start this at verse 8. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Uh Start this at verse 4.
All right. Jeremiah chapter 25 and verse 4. And Yahweh has sent unto you all his servants, the prophets, rising early and sending them, but you have not hearkened nor inclined your ear to hear. They said, turn you again now every one from his evil way and from the evil of your doings, and dwell in the land that Yahweh has given unto you and to your fathers forever and ever.
It's the same message. That's how you know the difference between somebody coming in their own power and somebody coming in the power of the Most High. Because if you're coming in the word of the Most High, it's the same message that they preach to their own selves. Turn you from your own evil way, from the evil of your doing, so we can go back to the land, so we can be the kings and queens we supposed to be, so the world can be in peace. Verse 6.
And go not after other Elohim to serve them and to worship them, and provoke me to anger with the works of your hands, and I will do you no hurt. Yet you have not hearkened unto me, says Yahweh, that you might provoke me to anger with the works of your hands to your own hurt. Therefore, thus says Yahweh of hosts, because you have not heard my words, behold, I will send and take all the families of the north, says Yahweh, and Nebuchadrezzar, the king of Babylon, my servant, and will bring them against this land and against the inhabitants thereof, and against all these nations round about, and will utterly destroy them and make them an astonishment and a hissing and perpetual desolations. Moreover, I will take them from the voice of mirth and the voice of gladness and the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride, the sound of the millstones and the light of the candle. And this whole land shall be a desolation and an astonishment, and these nations shall serve the king of Babylon 70 years.
70 years. So this is how Daniel knew in his Babylonian captivity how long he was going to be captive. 70 years. And this is how we know in America how long we are captive. 400 years. All right. Verse 12.
And it shall come to pass when 70 years are accomplished that I will punish the king of Babylon and that nation, says Yahweh, for their iniquity in the land of the Chaldeans, and will make it perpetual desolations. And I will bring upon that land all my words which I have pronounced against it, even all that is written in this book, which Jeremiah has prophesied against all the nations. For many nations and great kings shall serve themselves of them also, and I will recompense them according to their deeds and according to the works of their own hands.
According to their deeds and the works of their own hands. So Judah has been expelled. Israel is now full of Gentiles. It is now the time of the Gentile rule. We have no longer sit on the throne. We are in our judgment and our punishment, our dispersal. And then that takes you into Psalms 83. In Psalms 83, for time's sake, we're not going to read it. But this is where the nations take crafty counsel together and become confederate to take the house of Yah in their possession. And they effectively have done that. So now we're fast forwarding to the time of Mashiach. So let's go to Lucas chapter 21. Luke chapter 21.
This reading these scriptures definitely gives me solace, just considering that all that our ancestors have been through and all that all of us have been through as a nation and continue to go through, is very upsetting, and it's very it's frustrating, and is difficult to be in this kind of situations that we're in and have no justice. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
There's we deal with the fact that none of these other nations really cares. Like, even the people that claim to be so-called allies, well, not all of them, but for the most part, people don't care about our plight. And so
Right.
for me, it's comforting to know that at some point, whether I'm here or not, that the things that have gone amiss and the things and the injustices that we suffered as a nation will be recompensed.
Amen.
Because Yah loves a just balance, you know what I'm saying? A just weight. And he's gonna weigh the scales, and there's gonna come a time for that. So it definitely gives me comfort just knowing that okay, Yah sees what's going on and he hasn't forgotten us or forsaken us.
Amen. Amen. And proof of that is our judgment. We had to go through our judgment, just like everybody else. It's just started the household of faith. So he went, dealt with us. So we go through what we're going through, and he told us this is how long, and he's a God of mercy. He's given us a chance. So, these are the things that this is called the good news. It's bad news to people that don't want to repent. It's bad news to people that enjoy the way things are. You can't be no servant of Yah enjoying the way things are right now. How are you happy and walking around like everything is great when you see your people suffering like this just because you ain't at the bottom of captivity? So prepare yourself for what's coming our way, but understand that our judgment is past. All we got to do is just because just like when you getting ready to be released or the last day of school. You remember being in school, at least in where I grew up, the last day of school, you had to be on edge because everybody getting ready to do their business because we about to be released. So you got to walk with circumspect. You got to be careful. That's where we are right now. Not because we about to start our captivity. It's the end of it. So Luke is chapter 21. Let's start this in verse 16. It's going to read a few verses here.
All right, Luke chapter 21 and verse 16. And you shall be betrayed both by parents and brethren and kinsfolks and friends, and some of you shall they cause to be put to death.
All right. So understand this is where your betrayal is coming from. Your family. At this point, we've been in war so long. That's the only people we trust is our family. Our parents going to betray us, our brothers, kinsfolk, friends. And some of them, they will cause you to be put to death. And some have already been put to death. Some of them fell to their family. And they went in and took that thing they wasn't supposed to do. And a lot of them died. Some of them were literally, put into those type of situations. And this is the beginning. It ain't the end. So this is what's coming ahead. If your family, your friends, your kinsfolk don't serve the same God you serve, it's going to be a problem because things are going to get rough and they're going to have to make a decision. Verse 17.
And you shall be hated of all men for my name's sake.
So you can't be so concerned with how many people like you. You think it's coincidental they got this thing set up where hit like? How many likes? How many thumbs up? How many people have agree? This is how our people are set up to the point where you got people killing themselves and their family for likes. You got, especially if you were a man of the house, you got to be prepared to be hated. You just can't prepare yourself to be hated for wickedness. You hated for wickedness, that's what you deserve. But if you hate it for righteousness' sake, so be it. Verse 18.
But there shall not a hair of your head perish. In your patience possess you your souls.
All right. So this is often where I offend. All right. So not a hair on your head is going to perish. Yah got you. He's got you. Regardless of how they attack you, regardless of how they try to throw you off or confuse you or your mistakes, Yah got us. Not a single hair on our head is going to perish. But in our patience possess our souls. And when they're talking about patience, this is talking about a cheerful continuance. If we're complaining, that's not patience. That's murmuring. This is what caused us to get purged out in the wilderness. So I offend in that. I'll get to a point where I start complaining because, I'm frustrated. You can't do that. That's not a cheerful continuance. You already know the end. Verse 20.
And when you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is near.
So when you see Jerusalem compassed with armies, just know the desolation thereof is near. The abomination, desolation, the wicked one, the false prophet is near, very near. And them armies are lining up. We just read the list of them. They're lining up, they're ready. And we're not talking about the other ones that aren't publicly supporting, but publicly support the people that are publicly supporting against the state of Israel. Verse 21.
Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out. And let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto.
Don't come back. And if you can get out because it's about to go down. This is a repossession, an eviction and repossession, all going down to the land of people that are taking our land, taking Yah's land, and claimed it for their own. Verse 22.
For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled.
And we're reading a lot of these things that were written. Verse 23.
But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days, for there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people.
And when it say distress in the land, that's distress in the earth. That's not just Israel or Babylon or America or the daughter, but this is in the world.
Verse 24. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
So Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles. We just read that. How these Gentiles came into the area and how did they get into Jerusalem? And how did they get to a point where they can rename a city Jerusalem and call it, well, this is Jerusalem. Really? In a valley? What king gonna put his kingdom in a valley? That's not a strategic stronghold. Militarily, that makes no sense. Would no child whose father is a man of war put his kingdom in a valley where you can use gravity to take this place out? I hate using that word gravity. You can use density to take this person out. You can shoot arrows down. You can roll fire down. You can do anything. You can light the place on fire. All right, so let's move on. Let's go to Romans chapter 11. So what happens to us in this time? We have entered this time of the Gentiles. We have been dispersed. We've been kicked out. What are we going to do? We're going to read a few verses here. Romans chapter 11. Let's read 18 through 26.
All right, Romans chapter 11 and verse 18. Boast not against the branches, but if you boast, you bear not the root, but the root you.
And that's what these Gentiles are doing. They're claiming royalty, claiming that they're us. You got one nation, they calling themselves the covenant man. Brit is covenant. Barit is covenant. Ish means man. You telling me you the covenant man? What? Boasting against us. Claiming you us. Claiming you the olive tree. Knowing you not. Knowing that your own acknowledgement of who you are, of your bloodline, is proving that you not us. And they on here, and then furthermore, you got the other side of Gentiles that's saying, no, well, Israel been cut off. It's all about the Jesus people now. Israel being cut off. So it's about us. We the new Israel. No, you not.
Verse 19. You will say then, the branches were broken off, that I might be grafted in. Well, because of unbelief they were broken off, and you stand by faith. Be not high-minded, but fear.
Yah is merciful. They were broken off because of unbelief. So if you stand in unbelief and you're not the natural branch, you think that you're going to be here? If he plucked off the natural branches for unbelief, what you think going to happen to you and you grafted in? Verse 21.
For if Elohim spare not the natural branches, take heed lest he also spare not you. Behold, therefore, the goodness and severity of Elohim.
All
On
right.
them
So
which fell,
we are the only nation that has witnessed both of it. The goodness and severity of Yah. Nobody else has received that. We have got the goodness and severity. So learn from the severity of Yah from the children of Yasharal if you're from another nation. Don't just think that it's all goodness. Judgment starts at the household of faith. If two kids get in trouble and one parent catches them, he gonna punish his child first. He might yell at the other child, go home, but you gonna punish your child first and severely. Verse 22.
behold, therefore, the goodness and severity of Elohim. On them which fell severity, but toward you goodness, if you continue in his goodness. Otherwise, you also shall be cut off.
So if you continue in the new level of righteousness that you have understood through the Israelites, through the Israelite son of the Most High Yah in his sacrifice, just continue in that. When you learn you're doing something wrong, repent. It's no different than the Israelite. But if you don't, it's the same as the Israelite. You finna get cut off. Verse 23.
And they also, if they abide not still in unbelief, shall be grafted in. For Elohim is able to graft them in again. For if you were cut off, for if you were cut out of the olive tree, which is wild by nature, and were grafted contrary to nature into a good olive tree, how much more shall these, which be the natural branches, be grafted into their own olive tree? For I would not, brethren, that you should be ignorant of this mystery, lest you should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part has happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in.
All right. So blindness in part. So the majority of our nation is in blindness. They have no clue. The comments they making about this whole situation, thinking that they Christians siding with the state of Israel, having no idea what they siding with. This has happened in part to Yasharal until the fullness of the time of the nations be come in, until the nations have their time to show how they would rule. Everybody got to have a chance to show this is how I'd rule, and this, and then now y'all can come in and show, this is how it's supposed to be ruled. So we are coming into the fullness of the nations now, where their time is ending, where they're fighting amongst each other. They're ready to duke it out and remove their own selves. All right. Let's stop right there. Go to verse 26.
All right, Romans chapter 11, verse 26. And so all Israel shall be saved. As it is written, there shall come out of Zion the deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob.
This is what makes you Israel versus being Yaakov, or what we call Jake. All right. If you are Yasharal, you are saved. That means you are under the blood of Mashiach. You are not living in ungodliness, for lack of a better word. You're not living in wickedness. You are repenting from your sins as they become visible to you and trying to prevent yourself from committing these transgressions. This is what is going to save you. That's Mashiach. That's his word. So all of those that are upright, Yasher means upright, or Shara, princess, El, heavenly power. The prince of power, that means you are of Mashiach, or the upright with the Most High shall be saved. Not bloodline Israel, all of bloodline Israel will be saved, because it tells you in another place, all they of Israel are not Israel. All right, let's stop right there. Let's move on. Let's go to Baruch. We're going into the Old Testament. So we're seeing that this time of this end of this Gentile rule is going to come, and we will be blind for a part. Then what happens? Baruch chapter 2. We're going to read a few verses here. If you do not have access to the Apocrypha, you can always go to our website, IsraeliteGathering.com, or go into our application, and you can go ahead and get free access to everything we read out of. Brother Yafi Yehuda said, it's against the law to have a DNA performed in Israel. I wonder why. Absolutely. You got to have a court order to get a blood test for DNA in the state of Israel. They don't want it on record. It's already on record. They don't want to prove in the masses. And look at these people speaking up in the public, these government officials of Israel. Check these people's background. These people are European. They sound, one of the dudes sound like Dracula. Literally. All that sounded like he's straight out of Transylvania. These people are not Israelites. Look at Netanyahu. Look up Netanyahu's real name. It ain't Netanyahu. These people are imposters. And y'all gonna deal with that, not us. When we get there, we gonna finish the job. But at the end of the day, that's not for us. You're gonna do that to yourselves. Baruch chapter 2, we're gonna read verses 26 through 35.
All right, Baruch chapter 2 and verse 26. And the house which is called by the name have you laid waste, as it is to be seen this day, for the wickedness of the house of Yasharal and the house of Judah.
And that's us. We that house. That's waste to this day. Are we in a worse state? No. But we are nowhere near the royal priesthood we're supposed to be. So when they look at us, oh man, the house of Yehuda is a waste. Verse 27.
O Yahweh, our Elohim, you have dealt with us after all your goodness and according to all that great mercy of yours.
He dealt with us with that mercy and that goodness. We can't forget because we still here. We literally keeping the Shabbat right now in our captivity.
Verse 28. As you spake by your servant Moshe in the day when you did command him to write the law before the children of Israel, saying, if you will not hear my voice, surely this very great multitude shall be turned into a small number among the nations where I will scatter them. For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivities they shall remember themselves.
So this is prophetic. This ain't no coincidence that we are awakening now as a people, celebrities, politicians, elders. We are waking up now in the place of our captivity. And the first part of the wake up is when you realize I'm in the land of my captivity. And now that's why they got all these new age doctrines. Oh, America is Israel. So you cannot be in the land of your captivity. So you cannot seek to go back to where you from. So you cannot seek to go to your ways. Did we travel here? Absolutely. But this is not our land. This whole world belongs to us, but there's only one promised land. And it ain't here. It ain't Southern Africa. These are all the places that we were exiled to. Tamshi?
Verse 31. And shall know that I am Yahweh their Elohim, for I will give them a heart and ears to hear.
I will give them a mind and ears that can listen. You remember when we first really started getting in this Bible? How many of us could not read the Bible for longer than 5 to 10 minutes before falling asleep? We couldn't do it, even in class, sitting in classes. And I remember coming to class with my previous elders and teachers and fighting sleep. He had to give us a mind for this word that brought us there, and ears to hear what we can hear. You can't hear when you sleep, whether you're physically asleep or mentally asleep. And what do we do once we hear this word? This is how you know we're hearing this word.
Verse 32. And they shall praise me in the land of their captivity and think upon my name.
That's what you do when you heard him. We gonna praise Yah in the land of our captivity. We gonna keep the Shabbat. We gonna keep his holy days. We gonna keep his commandments. We gonna speak out against the wickedness. We gonna praise his name. Think upon his character. Think upon his name. We not using them pagan names no more. You leave them with the Greeks. The Greeks can have it. We thinking upon his character, his name, his appellation, his ways. And what does that cause you to do when you do that? Verse 33.
And return from their stiff neck and from their wicked deeds, for they shall remember the way of their fathers, which sinned before Yahweh.
Now we remember the way of our fathers that started this whole stuff, started to try to follow the Gentiles, started the backsliding.
Verse 34. And I will bring them again into the land which I promised with an oath unto their fathers, Abraham, Yishak, and Jacob, and they shall be masters of it, and I will increase them, and they shall not be diminished.
So I will bring them again into the land which I promised, the promised land. He ain't promised us Idaho or Utah or any of that foolishness. Our promised land. And we will be the masters of it. We will run and control things and not be diminished. He is going to bring us into that land. Finish it up.
And I will make an everlasting covenant with them to be their Elohim, and they shall be my people, and I will no more drive my people Israel out of the land that I have given them.
Praise Yah. So he's telling them, if those people are the people of the land, why they fleeing? Why they fleeing by boat, taking off every direction, begging all these foreign nonprofits, come save me, bring me back. I'm also a citizen of Ukraine. I'm also a citizen of France. I'm also a citizen of the US. Come save me. I thought you was an Israeli. Nah, that's not us. That's why they took these scriptures out. That's why they removed the book of Baruch and a lot of these apocryphal books. Let's go back into the regular King James. Let's go to Jeremiah 23. Jeremiah chapter 23.
You know, it's funny when you think about it, because Israel is supposed to be dependent on Yah only. But if you look at the current state of Israel, these people, the only reason these people can really do anything is because they're backed by America.
Right.
It's like they're not even they're it's just such a farce. It's such a farce.
It's ridiculous. And they're not even being backed. The United Nations is the only reason they got in there to begin with. The United Nations ain't even backing them. You got even college students. And this is what I'm telling my daughter. You know, my daughters, two oldest daughters are in college now. You know, one of them getting ready to be a freshman next year, and one of them already a freshman this year. And I'm telling them, listen, this is the age of your enlightenment. This is when you start to become political and understand what's going on and start actually living the world as an adult and say, wait a minute. It was those college students that was protesting against the state of Israel and what they were doing to the poor Palestinian people. The college students are speaking out. They're the ones that are with this no kings movement and all this stuff. The young people. So they're going to need guidance, but they're saying, look, we don't know it all, but we know this ain't right. Killing all these people ain't right. So we are waking up as a people, and the other nations are choosing a side as well, saying, nah, we ain't with that. So we're at Jeremiah. Let's read chapter 23. We're just going to read 1 through 7.
All right, Jeremiah chapter 23 and verse 1. Woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, says Yahweh.
Them the pastors you see on TV with them huge crowds. How many of them are trying to tell the people what's going on? Look at this. This is we about 2 weeks into this. They already took us off YouTube. Already in 2 weeks. They don't want us to tell y'all what's going on. 501c3, which is the nonprofit status, literally equals 666 if you do the numerology of that. And they big into that numerology. All those 501c3 camps is not going to tell you what you need to hear because it goes against the government. Now, here we are in the preface of World War III, where a lot of these nations that are enemies already considered that World War III has started. And they're shutting down this information. These false pastors, where were they during the lockdown, during Passover season? So Yah is coming to judge those individuals, and we've seen that process already start. Verse 2.
Therefore, thus says Yahweh Elohim of Yasharal against the pastors that feed my people. You have scattered my flock and driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doing, says Yahweh.
You are scattering the flock when you are not bringing them back to the word. The word is Yahweh Shai, Mashiach, the word in flesh. When you're not bringing them back to the word, his every word that proceeds out of Yah's mouth, when you're not bringing them back to that, you're scattering them. When you're taking the word of Yah and twisting it for an agenda, whether it be for control, for power, for the lust of your flesh, whatever it is, for your own agenda, because you want to be Mashiach, or you want to be that great elder or that great moray, or whatever the case. So you're willing to twist word to get the interest of people. You're driving them away and you're not visiting them. You visit them when you repent. Hey, you know what? I was wrong. I messed up. Here, let me give you the correct. Let me show you where I messed up. Well, Yah going to visit you upon the evil of your doings. Verse 3.
And I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all countries whither I have driven them, and will bring them again to their folds, and they shall be fruitful and increase.
I will bring them again into their folds. We ain't all from the same fold. So stop beefing with your brother. Maybe you ain't supposed to walk with your brother. That don't mean he's your enemy. He might be of a different fold. You might be of a warrior fold. He might be of a musician fold, or a teacher fold, a priest fold. We don't know. Verse 4.
And I will set up shepherds over them which shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be dismayed, neither shall they be lacking, says Yahweh.
They shall fear no more. There's no fear and faith. You can't have both at the same time. So if your teachers or your pastors or your priests or whoever, your elders, is not trying to teach you how to deal with the fleshly fear that this confusion is dropping on us, and you don't be fearful once you have understanding of what's going on, you know that you can't change anything, and you understand what is coming, that fear leaves. Now the faith, well, that same word that said this is going to happen is happening. And that same word says, when this is happening, I'm going to do this. And this is going to happen for me. That's what the shepherds are supposed to be doing during this time. Not fleecing the flock and feeding themselves.
Verse 5. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch, and the king shall reign and prosper, and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth.
That ain't happened yet. We ain't executing we can't even execute judgment in our own houses. We in captivity. You try to do judgment in your house, see how quick the police show up at your house. We have been stripped, but them times is ending. We are coming back into the righteous order of Yah. Verse 6.
In his days Judah shall be saved, and Israel shall dwell safely, and this is his name whereby he shall be called, the Lord our righteousness, with
Yahweh,
an
our
adname.
righteousness. Go ahead.
Verse 7. Therefore, behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that they shall no more say, Yahweh lives, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, but Yahweh lives, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Yasharal out of the north country, and from all countries where they had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land.
So again, everything is lining up saying the same thing. We're going to remember who we are. We're going to return to righteousness, and Yah's going to bring us back from the north country back into all of our own land. So all we know Yah in this dispensation is Yah that freed the children of Israel out of Egypt. We're not going to know him by that. We're going to know him in this new age that's coming ahead of us. This is the God that brought us back into our land. This is the Elohim that brought us back and established the covenant that he made with our forefathers. It's a whole new understanding. Before Egypt, they didn't know Yah as the Elohim that was going to free them out of Egypt. They didn't know that. They knew him as the father of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the one that made promise to them, that flooded the earth. That's all they knew. The character was opened up, and now that character is being opened up even further. Let's go to 2nd Ezra chapter 6. We're going back into the Apocrypha. We're going to 2nd Ezra, which is literally the third book of Ezra. They just pulled this out of the book of Ezra because they didn't want you to know. Chapter 6, let's start this at 1.
All right, 2nd Esdras chapter 6 and verse 1. And he said unto me, in the beginning, when the earth was made, before the borders of the world stood, or ever the winds blew, before it thundered and lightened, or ever the foundations of paradise were laid, before the fair flowers were seen, or ever the movable powers were established, before the innumerable multitude of angels were gathered together, or ever the heights of the air were lifted up, before the measures of the firmament were named, or ever the chimneys in Zion were hot, and ere the present years were sought out, and or ever the inventions of them that now sin were turned, before they were sealed that have gathered faith for a treasure, then did I consider these things, and they all were made through me alone, and through none other. By me also they shall be ended, and by none other. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or when shall be the end of the first, and the beginning of it that follows? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Yishak, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows.
All right, so Esau will be the last of the nations to rule the world before Jacob, the time of Israel, comes back. When you have the star of David will return, Mashiach, and we will be a nation again, and not a state of Israel that got a bunch of Gentiles. No, we will be back into the biblical Israel. So this is the ending of the world. When you talk about the end of the world, that's the age of the Gentiles. Esau is the end of the age of the Gentiles. All right. Go ahead.
Verse 10. The hand of man is betwixt the heel and the hand. Other question, Esdras asks you not. I answered then and said, O master that bearest rule, if I have found favor in your sight, I beseech you, show your servant the end of your tokens, whereof you show me part of the last night. Night.
Drop down to verse 18.
Okay. 2nd Esdras chapter 6 and verse 18. And it said, Behold, the days come that I will begin to draw near and to visit them that dwell upon the earth, and will begin to make inquisition of them, what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled.
All right. So we've seen these inquisitions now being made, people being called out publicly, internationally for the wickedness that's going on. And Yah is preparing his judgment.
Verse 20. And when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished, then will I show these tokens. The book shall be opened before the firmament, and they shall see all together. And the children of a year old shall speak with their voices. The women with child shall bring forth untimely children of 3 or 4 months old, and they shall live and be raised up. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty.
All right. So you want to know what that looks like? Go ahead and look at them images. Go look at what Israel looking like right now. Go look up Tel Aviv. All these sown places, right? Their commerce, their airport. Go look these places up. Verse 23.
And the trumpet shall give a sound which every man hears, which when every man hears, they shall be suddenly afraid. At that time shall friends fight against one another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountains shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. Whosoever remains from all these that I have told you shall escape, and see my salvation, and the end of your world.
That's the end of the Gentile rule that is ushering in the sabbatical kingdom, a time of peace where there's no more killing and all that type of stuff, where, ain't no untimely deaths. Who remains while all these things in between that transition is going to see his salvation. That is Mashiach's return. Who's my? My is Yahweh. Who is salvation? Salvation literally is Yahweh Shai, or Yeshua in the new Hebrew. So Yahweh Shai, that's Yah's salvation. That's the end of the age, because now the Gentiles ain't ruling nothing no more, and never will. Because Israel, the real biblical Yasharal, is now in effect with our real king. Verse 26.
And the men that are received shall see it, who have not tasted death from their birth, and the heart of the inhabitants shall be changed and turned into another meaning.
That's the understanding when he said, some of you here will not taste death of this generation until you see me. That's a time that is marking what that generation is. That generation is the time of his church, the time where Gentiles are now ruling things, all the way until the time of him returning. Verse 27.
For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. As for faith, it shall flourish, corruption shall be overcome, and the truth, which has been so long without fruit, shall be declared.
Drop down to verse 34.
Okay. And hasten not with the times that are past, to think vain things, that you may not hasten from the latter times.
So he's telling you, stop trying to worry about all these things of the old world. Just like he said in the other place, like, let go of your mortal thoughts. All these things are distractions to keep you stuck in a system that's going to be destroyed. Do you got to pay your bills? You got to get up and go to work? Yeah, absolutely. But don't be distracted from your spiritual duty, your spiritual job, your spiritual self, who you are as Yah's chosen people. And those chosen from other nations to affix themselves to his chosen people. Don't forget your purpose for who you are. You are witnesses on the earth of Yah's word right in front of us unfolding. All right, so let's go to the conclusion. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 51. And we're going to read verse 17 through 33 for the conclusion. So again, Esau is the end of the world. That is a whole manner of people different than Jacob, the opposite of Jacob. Jacob does the things that pleases the father. Esau does the thing that angers his father. Jacob does the things that pleases his mother. Esau does the things that his mother hates. Those are opposites. The nation took after Esau. A remnant of the nation is going to take after Yaakov. So now we are set to where we're seeing the judgment of the nations coming to a big center stage now. This all started with the 400 years ending, and we saw what happened to the whole world, and now it is elevated to a next level phase in war. So Jeremiah chapter 51 for the conclusion. Let's read 17 through 33.
All right. Jeremiah chapter 51 and verse 17. Every man is brutish by his knowledge. Every founder is confounded by the graven image, for his molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them. They are vanity, the work of errors. In the time of their visitation, they shall perish. The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. Yahweh of hosts is his name. You are my battle axe and weapons of war, for with you will I break in pieces the nations, and with you will I destroy kingdoms.
All right, so you'll see that, and you'll think, okay, well, does that mean we're going to go out here fighting all these nations? No. Will we have to fight to take our land? Yes and no. Depends on what part we're in. But ultimately, the nations that are going to assimilate to Yah's righteousness is going to be through the Israelite. We are the one that's going to break those curses where it says our fathers have inherited lies. It's our understanding, our teaching, our big brother Mashiach is going to destroy these nations and these kingdoms that are of wickedness. Verse 21.
You know, and one thing also to kind of point out about him saying, you are my battle axe and weapons of war, is like, all we have to do is be willing and show up. It's Yah who fights the battle, you know, but it's him who's going to be wielding us as the weapons. And it's like, so do you think Yah's going to make a mistake, or he's going to mess up, or he's not? No. If Yah's with you, if Yah's for you, you can't lose. You know what I'm saying? So all you have to do is be willing to show up and have the confidence and put your faith in him that he's going to do as he said.
Amen. That was a very great point, brother. Because you look at that physical axe, that war hammer, right? That's what it was, a war hammer. That war hammer by itself can't do anything unless you trip and fall on it or fall on you or something. But at the end of the day, it got to be wielded. And if somebody can't even pick it up, they can't hurt you with it. It's too heavy. But you got a professional warrior that know what he's doing. Somebody who's a man of war like Yah, who invented all of this. He's swinging us around. It's going to destroy who you think going to beat Yah. Like you said, who you think is going to stop his weaponry? All we have to do is allow him to move us as he pleases. And he told us how to move. So we moving it against, we going to get destroyed. Verse 21, great point, Ak.
Praise Yah. And with you will I break in pieces the horse and his rider, and with you will I break in pieces the chariot and his rider. With you also I will break in pieces man and woman, and with you will I break in pieces old and young, and with you will I break in pieces the young man and the maid. I will also break in pieces with you the shepherd and his flock, and with you will I break in pieces the husbandman and his yoke of oxen, and with you will I break in pieces captains and rulers.
All these people are going to repent through you, Yahshua, through your obedience to the Most High Yah. And Yah establishing you as his people when he lifts us up above all the nations. When they come in to try to kill us during Jacob's trouble, and we are elevated and we are moved to the right of Mashiach, then those people will be broken to pieces, and many of them are already being broken into pieces and repenting.
Verse 24. And I will render unto Babylon and unto all the inhabitants of Chaldea all their evil that they have done in Zion in your sight, says Yahweh.
In your sight. So you're going to watch all this.
Behold, I am against you, O destroying mountain, says Yahweh, which destroys all the earth. And I will stretch out my hand upon you and roll you down from the rocks and will make you a burnt mountain. And they shall not take of you a stone for a corner, nor a stone for foundations, but you shall be desolate forever, says Yahweh. Set up a standard in the land, blow the trumpet among the nations, prepare the nations against her, call together against her the kingdoms of Ararat, Mini, and Ashkenaz, appoint a captain against her, cause the horses to come up as the rough caterpillars. Prepare against her the nations with the kings of the Medes, the captains thereof, and all the rulers thereof, and all the land of his dominion.
All right, so these are the people that are coming against the land of Israel. They are going to be fighting with themselves, fighting against the land of Israel. All right, so look at the people we're talking about here. This brings us to what's going on right now. We just named a lot of those nations, literally at the beginning of the class. So let's break them down. The kingdom of Ararat. The Ararat, that's the mountains. That's where Noah's Ark landed. All right, Ararat, that's literally the Caucasus Mountains. Who come from the Caucasus Mountains? That's eastern Turkey, like the border of Armenia. That's Ararat. Mini. All right, so you look at Mini is Armenia. Literally eastern border of Turkey. That's 2 times we mentioned in Turkey. Right? Then it talks about Ashkenaz. Oh, interesting. Ashkenazi Jews. All those Jews that call themselves Ashkenazi Jews, they're telling you they know their bloodline. They're coming from Western Europe and Northern Europe, the nations of the North. That includes the Germans, the Turkish, the Roman, some of the Roman provinces. That's Ashkenaz. And it says, prepare against her the nations with the kings of the Medes. And the Medes is biblically Mayday. And that is northwestern Iran. So look at all these people that are going to be surrounding all the people you thought, Russia and all these people you thought was cool with the nation of Israel, the state of Israel. You about to see what's about to happen. So this is biblical. None of this says the children of Yasharal about to stand around here and go fight these. Nah. It tells us when you see those armies line up, flee to the mountains. And if you're away, don't come back to this place because Yah about to do his business. Got nothing to do with us. Play your part. If you in a movie and you got a script, you read your lines and do your lines. Other people's lines is their role, their position. You can't play both unless that's your role. Tamshi?
Verse 29. And the land shall tremble in sorrow, for every purpose of Yahweh shall be performed against Babylon, to make the land of Babylon a desolation without an inhabitant.
So you hear Babylon. Babylon is literally Iraq. Physically Iraq. So is Iraq the problem right now? Iraq is speaking against Israel, but they're not the problem right now. They done been squashed Iraq long time ago. So who are they really talking about when they say Babylon? We're talking about an ecclesiastical Babylon, which is Rome, the Roman Empire, all those places. Continue.
Verse 30. The mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight, for they have remained in their holds. Their might has failed. They became as women. They have burned her dwelling places. Her bars are broken.
So when it go down, that's what they finna do. Verse 31.
One post shall run to meet another, and one messenger to meet another, to show the king of Babylon that his city is taken at one end, and that the passages are stopped, and the reeds they have burned with fire, and the men of war are affrighted.
So the nations that came and set up this daughter of Babylon, their power is going to be restrained, and they're going to leave the daughter of Babylon. And we about to get into the daughter of Babylon. Verse 33.
For thus says Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Yasharal, the daughter of Babylon is like a threshing floor. It is time to thresh her. Yet a little while, and the time of her harvest shall come.
Now they're introducing the daughter of Babylon. Babylon is the Roman Empire. That's Babylon, the ecclesiastical Babylon. And the daughter who came out of Europe, America. Who's supporting Europe? America. Who owns all these American companies? Europe, Britain, Germany, all them countries, they own us. This is a front. Once them are removed where they can't help us because they're afraid for themselves, now the daughter of Babylon, America, is like a threshing floor. It's time to go do your business once the people moved out the way. So this is what's coming. This is what's happening. This is not about us. This is about prophecy being fulfilled. This is about all these things coming into place that we're reading about. And as these things unfold, it's not for us to be afraid and stick our heads in the sand like we're some fearful people. That curse is past. Like we say, we not our ancestors. All that spirit of fear where we afraid for a day. Oh, y'all, what happened in the day? Oh, y'all, what happened in the night? We scared in the field. We scared in the city. Them days is past. For lack of a better word, and YNs that we call YNs, right? They not scared. And they're going to be receiving the proper direction when it's time. Now, some of them wicked going to be wicked, but not all of them is wicked. Some is misguided. But that spirit that's on our youth where they standing up, they not having it. That is how our whole nation is going to be. Even our elders now are not having it. They're not like the elders before used to sit back and be quiet. This new age of elders, they not having it. These new age of elders are young like the youth. My elder, his 70th birthday, he doing 70 push-ups on his fingertips. And he do it every year. It's not the same. So as these things go on, calm your family down. Prepare for war. We are going to be in war, but it's not about us. Well, so when you're preparing for war, that means you want to detox your body, make sure that your body's in the best state it can be. Parasites are killing us right now. It's killing us our mental state. They're flooding us with these chemtrails, with all these parasites in our food, even in the vegetables. You need to reduce the amount of meals you have. Cut yourself down to closest as one solid meal a day. You can snack in between, but one solid meal a day. Wartime measures. Exercise. Make sure that you're doing some sort of exercise. Walking. You're going to have to be able to move. You're going to have to be able to carry weight, especially if you have children. Continue getting into this prophecy of understanding what's going on. So you're making yourself comfortable. So when these things come in front of you, you're not afraid because Yah gave it to you first. So he told you what's going to happen next. And he says the saints will take the kingdom. Not one hair in your head will perish. There's no condemnation in Mashiach. So let us remember these things. And all fathers and husbands, now is the time to get your house in order. Now is the time, which means you have to be in order. So that's all we're going to do today. Do we have any last questions or comments? All right. Don't look like we have any last questions or comments. So again, visit our website at israelitesgathering.com. If you'd like to donate, you can donate via Cash App, which is $SWORD ATL. If you have any resources you'd like to donate towards the ministry, you can reach out to us in our email address, info@israelitesgathering.com. It looks like we have been shut down from YouTube. So you can always head to Rumble. You can go to our website, israelitegathering.com, or directly to your phone. Also, another reason for that app is the direct message capabilities, which has nothing to do with your cell phone service and all that, and all the ways that they're monitoring. So it is an extra layer for us to try to get some information out before it's compromised. So if you haven't, download the app so you can be interfaced as these emergencies go down. We'll be sending out messages so people can see what's going on. So make sure you're plugged in. So that's all we're going to do today. Yah's will, we will see you for next Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom, y'all.